The wind tunnel is a crucial tool in Formula One car development, where teams strive to perfect the balance between aerodynamics and power. In F1, aerodynamics are vital. More downforce provides better grip in corners, while less drag boosts speed on the straights. However, the use of wind tunnels in F1 is governed by strict rules and regulations. So, what are these rules? Let's find out. There was a time in racing history when no one really gave a second thought to aerodynamics. The focus was purely on building the lightest chassis that could house the most powerful engine. Speed was all about brute force. That all changed when Colin Chapman, the visionary behind Lotus, decided to attach a wing to the back of his car. It was a move that initially annoyed his drivers, but ultimately revolutionised the sport. Chapman discovered that by reversing the principle of an airplane wing, cars could be made to stick to the ground through airflow manipulation. But as technology advanced through the 1970s and 80s, it became clear that more systematic approach was needed to understand the effects of these aerodynamic tweaks. That was what brought about the wind tunnel. The concept of using wind tunnels in F1 started with the Brabham team in 1963. At that time, it was more of a pioneering experiment than a standard practice. It wasn't until the 1980s that wind tunnels became an essential tool for all teams. The primary goal: to optimise every single stream of air that flows over the car for peak performance. So, how does this high-tech marvel work? A wind tunnel is essentially a long tubular chamber with a colossal fan that blasts high-speed air over a car's body to study airflow patterns. There are two main types of wind tunnels: open circuit, which draws air from the outside, and closed circuit, which recirculates air within the tunnel for a more consistent flow. Naturally, F1 teams preferred the closed circuit tunnel. For F1 testing, a team of expert model makers crafted a scale model of the car, usually around 50 to 60% of its actual size. This model is placed in a loop-shaped tunnel where the air is driven by a large turbine or several fans for less affluent teams. The airflow over the model gets recaptured by the fan and is sent round again. A single big fan is ideal as it creates less turbulence and provides a more reliable airflow than multiple smaller fans. Consistent airflow is crucial to glean useful data, which is more about preventing the car from lifting off the ground than replicating real-world conditions. Designing a race car that slices through the air with precision is an intricate dance of engineering and aerodynamics. The goal is to minimise air resistance while maximising downflow and speed. But how exactly do engineers and designers achieve this? How do they visualise and optimise the airflow around a Formula One car? In the quest to master aerodynamics, visualisation is key. Have you ever noticed an F1 car at a test station streaked with neon paint? That's called FlowVis paint, and it's a fascinating tool in the aerodynamics toolkit. When the car speeds through the track, the FlowVis paint traces the path of airflow across the vehicle's surface, revealing the secrets of how the air behaves as it encounters the car. But straight-line testing in a wind tunnel is only part of the story. F1 teams take it a step further by recreating track conditions. This means they can simulate how their car will perform on different circuits, from the tight turns of Monaco to the high-speed straights of Monza. The objective is to develop and test a rotating selection of parts, consistently refining and tweaking to find the perfect setup for each race of the season. After countless hours in the wind tunnel and mountains of data collected, the next challenge is making sense of it all. This treasure trove of information helps the team decide which configurations and parts will give them the edge on the track. So, what are the rules guiding wind tunnels for F1 teams? Back in 2021, Formula One embarked on a game-changing mission to shake up the competitive landscape. The sport introduced new regulations that limited the time teams can spend in the wind tunnel, a crucial tool for developing race cars. The default wind tunnel hours were slashed by over 30%. And for the first time ever, a team's on-track performance determined how much wind tunnel time they'd get the following season. If a team finishes higher in the Constructors' Championships, they will earn themselves less time in the wind tunnel. Finish lower and you get more hours to tinker with your car. The aim: to level the playing field and give the underdogs a shot at closing the gap on the front runners. This was no small tweak. It came alongside F1's new cost cap, which drastically curbed the top team's spending sprees. Together, these changes were designed to bring down costs and promote more competitive racing. In a sport where a fraction of a second can mean the difference between glory and heartbreak, Every hour in the wind tunnel counts. In the debut year of these regulations, we witnessed one of the most electrifying championship battles in recent memory. Mercedes and Red Bull duked it out all season long, culminating in the infamous showdown in Abu Dhabi. Max Verstappen clinched the title in a dramatic and controversial finish, edging out Lewis Hamilton in a race, and left fans and pundits buzzing. The fierce competition between Mercedes and Red Bull wasn't just about wind tunnel hours. The 2021 cars were largely carryovers from the previous season, with only minor tweaks allowed. After years of stability under the same set of technical rules, the performance gaps had naturally narrowed. In such a finely balanced arena, every decision, every pit stop, every strategic call was magnified. When the 2022 season rolled around, everything changed. F1 had introduced a massive overhaul of technical regulations, and Red Bull nailed it. They came out swinging, dominating the competition and winning a staggering 86% of the races over the past 2 years. It seemed like the new rules had little effect on Red Bull's supremacy. Sometimes a team just gets it right, and they ride that wave of success. However, this dominance doesn't mean the wind tunnel restrictions were ineffective. In fact, as we approach another major regulation change in 2026, the field could very well tighten up again. The reduced wind tunnel hours for the top teams might start to play a bigger role as the smaller teams inch closer, chipping away at their advantage. Wind tunnel restrictions alone aren't enough to guarantee closer competition in F1. The real game changer is the cost cap, which every team is reportedly adhering to. This financial constraint should level the playing field more effectively. Extra wind tunnel time, teams lagging behind won't bridge the gap if they're already a couple of seconds slower per lap. Hence, kicking off the season strong is vital. Take McLaren's journey last year for instance. They started off in a distant position but surged up the rankings as the season progressed. While they didn't pose a significant threat to Red Bull, they managed to secure several podium finishes in a season they initially seemed doomed. However, this leap wasn't due to wind tunnel restrictions affecting their rivals. Team principal Andrea Stella credited a restructuring of their aerodynamic department for the significant improvements. McLaren's experience highlights the importance of a strong start. They lost many points early in the season, which might have cost them the runner-up spot in the Constructors' Championship. The midfield battle has tightened in recent years, and there's no longer a clear backmarker guaranteed to exit early in qualifying. While this has created some thrilling moments, fans are primarily drawn to the action at the front of the pack. For the past 2 years, Red Bull has dominated, making for some rather predictable viewing. It's crucial to remember that F1's wind tunnel restrictions are still relatively new and will have a more profound impact when the field is already tightly bunched. Combined with the cost cap, which is the main driver for a more competitive field, these development limits can help achieve the closer racing F1 aims for in the coming years. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you can always watch more amazing videos like this. See you in the next video.